Now, this conversation this evening, at the heart of it is a son's potential and a mother's love. Olimidara Olukayode is a young man who has put in the work and obtained a partial scholarship to Allen County Community College in Iola, Kansas. He and his family are working hard to accrue the funds to complement that partial scholarship. His mother, Aina, joins us to give some insight into that journey and others like her son. Hello, ma'am. How are you at this point in time?
Very well, thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Now, we want to get a little idea, a little history, a backstory about Olimidara. And how long has he been involved in sports?
Olimidara has been involved in sport, football particularly, all his life. He is from Barataria, so Barataria ball players has been his go-to for sport, working alongside coaches such as Basil Smith, fondly known as Barney. And every camp, he was there with Miss Rogers, June Rogers. And from camp at school, he was involved in Barataria Anglican Primary School football team, then on to Trinity College East, then Mocha Lions.
So he has, like we intimated, he has been putting in that work. And
Yes, yes.
what does he plan to study, though? And also, I believe this also contribute upon his return. So he already has an idea what he wants to do when he comes back, which I guess is also important.
Yes, it is. Because the community involvement in sport was so important for him, that is one area that he wants to give back in. He wants to be able to contribute to developing community sport, and of course, environmental tourism as well is going to be important. The focus on the international connections is also integral because he has seen it as a point. There's a point of reference for him to make those connections that could open up opportunities for others.
So where does he get that sense of civic responsibility from? Because it seems as though there's a big mouthful what you just explained, but where does he get that from?
Well, we have always been community-oriented. We are members of our Barataria Community Council. We have always been, before we moved to Barataria, we have always liked the idea that Barataria is sweet. So we always have been community people. My great-great-aunt, Elaine Joseph, was the recipient of a Hummingbird Medal for community service. He has seen others work and benefited from the work of people like June Rogers, I must mention her again. He has seen the work and the impact of people like Iya Shangoda Sawande, Mrs. Pat McLeod, the work of Olakila Masitunji. So as members of our African community, our Risha community, we have always seen the positive responses, the benefits of giving and always receiving. The people you give may not be those you receive from, but certainly it's a blessing to you when you give of yourself, because it multiplies as it goes.
And you're talking to me and I'm feeling my paws raising and just hearing a really lived version of Ubuntu vibration. I am because we are, or because
Correct.
you are.
That is it. That is it.
But let me know what's the current situation with regard to the scholarship. What are you working towards? Where are you at? Or what kind of figures are we looking at?
Well, we have established the GoFundMe TNT account, and when it started, we needed to have $17,000 by the end of this year. Each semester, of course, it's a similar amount that we have to have available. So at present, through the generous contributions of many people, we have been able to say, okay, yes, this semester has been, the arrears for this semester has been taken care of, but every semester it has to be done. And as a mother, I know there are other children out there, mothers out there, parents who are trying to ensure that they can support their young people who have worked hard. And through this experience with Olimidara, we have met others as well. So we are working towards ensuring that Olimidara is secured. He comes home successful. We have to make sure that the payment for his accommodation is secured. Yes, because we don't want to have him come home empty-handed. He must come back home successful.
And you answered some of the questions that I had for you in terms of like what are some of the specific things that the money raised would go towards, and also whether or not this was a one-off, or you in your journey would have come across other individuals who have partial scholarship, who are doing the work, but at the same time need that extra thrust or that impetus to go forward and be successful.
Yes, definitely. There's a Mr. Eli who was at Trinity College, Mocha. Yes, he did a really good job preparing his students. So some of them, when Olimidara was leaving, there were 2 other young men who went off on scholarship. There's another young man, Ronaldo, I believe is his name. He is leaving on scholarship in January. So we are working as a team. We are going to have to work as a team. I will be raising funds. We have different efforts. One of them being the TriniQ, and that is going to be at the Kwame Ture Education Center on the 18th and 19th of December. They have their pop-up mall. Mr. and Mrs. Mohammed both have been very supportive. That is ongoing. That will be regular. So you can always call and order your barbecue, your TriniQ every month, because we're going to be continuing. The FundMe account is also, it has no deadline, so that we're not only just asking people to contribute, but we are working towards it as well. So.
And that is one of the things that I wanted to speak about, because sometimes people say, oh yes, well, they want the money, but what are you doing on your part? But we continue the conversation. When we return, we are speaking about supporting partially funded dreams. Stay with us. We return with so much more. Welcome back. We are speaking with Aina Olukayode, mother of Olimidara Olukayode, a student who is on a partial scholarship and trying to accrue the complementary aspect of funding so that he continue and come back to Trinidad and Tobago and positively impact the community that he is in, because Barataria is sweet. Now, ma'am, well, listen, you tell me so. And that brings me to the topic of community support, because I see there are different things that are happening, apart from him just being in the community and being part of the football team from 7. But what are some of the areas of support that you're experiencing in the community from Barataria itself?
Well, certainly corporate sponsors would not give to individuals. We have had the support of our Barataria Community Council regularly, full commitment. I must thank Mr. Joseph Ross and the council. Mr. Joseph Ross being the president, Jamila Toy Phillips being the vice president. They have been very helpful. Our councillor, Kimberly Small, has assisted whenever she can. So the community has supported us, so that we know we have our community center available, where, especially during this COVID time. That has been, we've had to manage with the COVID reality, but we've had the support of the council to use the community center for the distribution of our Trinique. And if there are other fundraising ventures, they said, make sure, keep us informed so that we could support all we can. And that is very encouraging. Olimidara also lived in Santa Cruz. So he, with his grandmother, and the savannah there, Brian Lara grounds, has been his training ground for quite some time. So the community support is necessary and has been forthcoming. And when I say community, it's not only where we live, but the Trinity community, Trinity College Mocha students have been very supportive.
I know you keep saying these things, and you keep on reminding me that it takes a village, a literal and remote village, to raise a child and grow them into the way that we want to see them. Because sometimes we look at we need to look at the seed and see the fruit. But in terms of moving forward, though, you started off saying that corporate entities may not want to contribute to an individual. And you all have found a very beautiful, and I use that term intentionally, a beautiful way to address that situation. How does artist Makemba Kunle come into this equation?
Well, that has been a source of really great support. Mr. Kunle has donated part of the proceeds from the sale of 3 of his paintings towards this fundraising drive. One of the members of our IFA community, Yeye Ogunfunke, she has been instrumental in that. So we want to thank Yeye Ogunfunke, Nandi Kunle, and of course, master artist Makemba Kunle. Very humble, very encouraging, supportive elder in our community.
I'm very, we'll try to get those images across, but the thing with Makemba Kunle's paintings or pieces is that if you are right there, you see one thing. If you take 2 steps back, you see something almost totally different, and it is constantly unfolding new visions for you. But if someone wanted to get an idea or contact to get a little more information about those images or those pieces, who do they contact and via what means?
They may contact me at 782-2919, or they may contact Nandi Kunle or Mrs. Rampasad.
And I think that's 365-7798.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man, we're here for that. But and so that is definitely something that corporate entities can look into, because, like you said, there is the stricture or there's those limitations that they may not want to support an individual in this way. So we thank Master Artist Kunle for his contribution on this front. But I want you to take us back to the Trinique thanks, or the festive Trinique. When you say Trinique, what does that mean? Because we hear barbecue, we hear curricue, we hear Creole Q. What's a Trinique?
Well, a Trinique.
Tell them you'll come just now.
Yes.
Come back tomorrow.
And while you're answering that, we also say that this is Saturday, December 18th and the 19th, I believe. But in terms of the Trinique, what does the Trinique consist of?
Yes, miss. The Trinique is lunch. We'll be providing a festive rice. So that means, you'll have your fruit, your vegetables, it will be a vegetable rice. Chicken, fish, pork, or vegetarian. So the vegetarian meal will come with extra accrue, which is a fried black-eyed peas bean cake. All the other lunches will have one, but the vegetarian lunch will have a little extra. The vegetarian lunch will also have the vegetarian lunch would also have pigeon peas and a fresh salad going along with it. So we said Trinique because we didn't want to use the term barbecue because of the challenging connotations historically with the term barbecue. Fortunately, we hope that really wasn't a thing in Trinidad, but we know our indigenous people would have had those challenging experiences.
Understood. And how much is that? And what are the price range for the different meats and vegetarian?
The vegetarian lunch is 40, chicken is 45, fish is 50, pork is 55.
All right, and now you spoke about it a little more, but does this stop here, or do you continue to champion your son and others like him as time goes forward?
Yes. Whereas our family has a network, we have support, I know that with all the different avenues at our disposal, we will continue to push for Olimidara. There are others who may not be so fortunate. So we intend to continue. We know we will, Olodumare willing, we know we are going to meet our commitments. And anytime that we go over what we need, we will also ensure that others are supported as well. Olomidara was one of the early recipients of a scholarship from Ita Osa, which is an Obatala shrine in Woodbrook. That gave him the inspiration to say, well, I could achieve this. So we will also be supporting the Ita Osa Scholarship Fund every year at the Obatala Festival. That scholarship is awarded to children who are deserving in our community. So any funds raised will also be used to support the Ita Osa Obatala Scholarship Fund.
And I think it's really timely that we're having this conversation today, being the last day for the month of November, where there's been an entire month that has been helping to raise consciousness along certain mindsets. But speaking of mindsets, though, what is your son's mindset at this time? What kind of conversations are you all having?
He's staying positive, but it's challenging. Without clearing arrears, he will not be able to choose his courses for the next semester. This is his first winter. He has survived the onslaught of COVID-19 with the support of his friend, compatriot, teammate, Temesgen. They are trying to keep their spirits positive, but Olomidara went up late. So despite the challenges of trying to catch up, he has managed to be successful with that, with the support of his coach and other teammates. But it's a struggle. It is a struggle. So we have to make sure that he knows that the support is there. He's not in this alone. He has the support of family. He has the support of friends. And I want Trinidad and Tobago to let those students know that they have the support of Trinidad and Tobago.
Beautiful last words. Thank you so much for sharing insight with us and just giving us that feel of that love that you have and the support for your son as well as the networks. And we want to thank you on behalf of the entire news team for tuning in. My name is DK Roster. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night.